Alright, we are running. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey guys, my name is Hab, and these are some rather short impressions on the Challenger. Now, I have started this line what feels like a month back, but I can tell you with a guarantee that it was pretty much the day before yesterday. I am grinding the 4005 just because it's next on my list, and I have already finished the Sherman Firefly quite a while back. I liked the Firefly, especially just due to the fact that the gun was pretty bloody good, and the Challenger has that same sort of theory put into it, except except the fact that the rest of the tank is so damn mediocre that not even the gun can save it. This has a sort of a similar problem to the Conqueror, except with the Conqueror you can still get away with it, because that tank has a lot of like useful consumables, provisions, so on and so forth, and mainly the top gun on it isn't hot garbage. This tank, the Challenger, if I can tell you how to play it in one sentence, I can tell you this. Play it with the Stag gun. And I'm gonna get into that real quick. Okay, so the 17 pounder is a very nice gun. Just on the fact that I'm at 87% crew, only running provisions, and having basically no equipment other than the rammer and camo net, the fact you have 0.29 dispersion and this kind of an aim time at tier 7 is genuinely amazing. You have the same pen as a Black Prince, essentially. You have absolutely no high explosive pen, but you do have a lot of APCR pen, which can carry you in some cases. Now, a while back, these guns also got an alpha buff, very convenient, especially because the 17 pounder is practically the only usable gun on this thing. So you have 200 alpha, 175, and then 270. However, with the high explosive, you might as well say goodbye to the high explosive ammo, because the only tanks you're going to be shooting at it with is the SP1C. Because you only have 20 millimeters of high explosive pen. That's dreadful. Now, the fact you also have 10 degrees of gun depression and still okay concealment is actually pretty surprising. You do have a very high damage output, like 4.1 seconds at this kind of a crew, no joke. No joke, you can absolutely knock out damage if you penetrate your targets, because this thing, from my experience so far, tends to see quite a lot of tier 8 tanks. And as if the tank wasn't already bad enough, seeing tier 8s often is pretty much a death sentence, because for tier 8s, what you would want to normally use is the top gun, right? So let's have a look at the top gun. Oh dear. Now with the positives on the 32 pounder itself, you have a lot of pen, like 220 AP, 252 APCR, 47 HE, that is so much higher. And not to mention, you also have a very high alpha at like 300, 260, 350. You also have somehow better concealment, even though that is genuinely a larger gun. I can't explain that. I don't understand how wargaming works, don't ask me. But in exchange, you gained far worse gun handling. A 4.7 second aim time, at least according to Blitz, is pretty atrocious. You can always check the proper base values on Blitzhanger and such. But you also lose a bit of DPM in exchange for that reload time, which still is pretty good. It isn't like 10 seconds like a T-32 at tier 8 just to fire a free 10 alpha shot. Like, this is very respectable for a tier 7 tank. But that dispersion, that accuracy change, completely kills that gun, because in order to get a reliable shot off, you're gonna have to expose yourself for a really, really long time. And what does that leave you with? Well, you do not have a lot of protection. You basically have essentially what is a enhanced crumble hull, or maybe even just the crumble hull. I think it's a bit longer than the regular one. And you also have a pretty poorly armored turret. Like, this will still stop a lot of high explosive rounds, but do not depend on that. The stock turret itself has a lot more nominal protection at like 100 to 1, but that doesn't really matter, because if you look at it, the turret traverse rate goes so much lower than it already is, and that is another one of the massive problems that I have with the Challenger. It has no reliable armor, the HP pool is rather low, the top gun is absolute garbage, and as if that wasn't enough, even though the mobility sounds pretty decent on paper, pretty decent, there are some other values in it that just don't make the Challenger work at all. Because for some odd reason, the Challenger really takes a while to speed up. It just takes a while. And before you get anywhere important with that speed, someone else is already gonna be there, or you're gonna be dead. Not exactly a great impression from a tank such as this. So, if I had any recommendations, I would tell you to avoid the Challenger entirely, but some people do not have the free experience to just skip a tank outright like that, so if you cannot skip it, like I can right now, you're gonna have to stick with the lower gun. It does technically make you a worse T-25 too, which is not something that I would expect myself to say, but the T-25-2 has a higher alpha and just about the same pen, I think, for a War's reload, but that's about it, and the T-25-2 is somehow better than this thing. But I digress, let's get into a battle with this setup that I have. Note that some people could absolutely get away with just not using that spall liner at tier 7, because people are not firing a lot of HE on this thing, but I still run it just in case the enemy is actually smart enough to do that. So anyways, let's get into a random battle and try to go through the notions of the Challenger. I'm not a fan of this thing at all, as you may have noticed. It's probably gonna take a while before we're matched up in a battle. Right now it's 4:53 p.m. I could be here till 7, who knows? It's taken around 20 seconds right now, which is rather strange, but then again, Gravity Force is running right now, and a lot of people are playing that instead of randoms. I'm not a fan of Gravity myself, it's not a mode that I would enjoy playing, but it took like 35 seconds, but we are top tier on Faust, fighting a bunch of tier 7s. The only ones that I'm really worried about are the SU and the T-29. That's the only ones that I'm exceptionally worried about. Ooh, sorry if you hear some background noise, I have bashed my leg against the table quite a few times already. But we have loaded up, and it seems that we are going to the right. Probably. I do kind of agree with that sentiment. Let's go, boys. So, the Challenger, if you give it some time, it can be fast. It can reach that speed pretty quickly. Like, you see this already goes almost 50, that's pretty good. And then you look at how slow the turret goes, and you're like, eh? I think I'd rather play an American turreted TD. Which is kind of my sentiment about this line so far. Now, people have told me the Charioteer and Conway are very nice tanks, so I hope that my opinion about this will change pretty quickly. But right now, I am not holding out any hope. Okay, let's see if we can get a shot at the Dicker. Nice. And the Dicker's down. Now you can see with Adrenaline you have an incredible damage output. You probably have a higher damage output than the Comet, just due to the fact that you have a lot better pen. I'm pretty sure the Comet has around 144, 195. This thing with 171 and 235 or so is very nasty if you can get some time on the target, which of course is a problem, seeing as you do not have that armor. Like, this AMX will just tear right through me, and I should have aimed that shot in. There we go. But I haven't lost more health than that, so it's quite alright. Now, the Loses Sherman will absolutely need to go down. Same goes for the FL-10. I think if I did not delay myself here for so much, I think I could have killed him earlier. But that's about it. Oh, hey, doggo. Dog walked into the room, but... yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, I'll give you pets. Come on, come on, come on, boy. Come on. That's nice. But now, we have to absolutely start getting rid of tanks, or we'll lose. I think the Challenger's 32-pounder would definitely help here. As... oh, well, the Type 62 isn't shooting. I think that's gonna get me killed. I think that type just got me killed. Yeah. Pretty much. Ooh, jeez, that was close. That type isn't too good at the aiming game. Oh, but you can see that. You can see this. The Challenger isn't a survivable tank. Neither was the Shim and the Firefly, but that still had the ability to do a few trollish bounces. This thing, absolutely no capabilities of that sort. Ooh boy, so let's take a quick gander. With the fact that we're so low on health, we are getting a pretty good buff to our reload time. 3.9 seconds for 200 alpha, very strong. I do like that a lot, but... oh great, he's got a 1-2-2. That makes it worse. That makes it worse, and I have no idea what the T-29 is. That guy must be swamped right now. There we go. All that's left is the enemy T-29. Unfortunately, I was spotted, so I may be killed at any second now. And I'm very worried about where this guy is. Now, chances are we can kill him and still win this, but... I'm not so certain about that. Well, let's go then. We still have 3 minutes to go, that's perfectly fine. Perfectly understandable. We must find the T-29 pronto. If he's AFK, that's pretty much as good as one. But I do not think this guy is AFK. He must be somewhere around here. Alright, so... it seems that the Type 62 is gonna cap it out. And that's good, we need to draw this player out. Absolutely. I'm kind of shocked, because... it's not hard to lose it's not easy to lose track of a T-29, but somehow we did. The Challenger also doesn't have good spotting abilities because, you know, it's a TD. At least the camouflage is pretty decent on this. The rating, I mean, the British camos themselves, not great. But that's another completely different issue. Yes, it does in fact seem that we have, ooh, lost sight. Seems the fella has one AFK. So let's get some damage. Yay. Well, that's essentially all we're gonna be getting from this battle now. And that's 4 kills and pretty decent amount of damage. Granted, the last bit was just complete stupid farming, but... I don't think this battle is quite representative of what the Challenger can do, because usually I would recommend to sit a bit further back and maybe do something else, or maybe play a different tank. Anyways, that has been it from me. These were the impressions on the Challenger. I don't think this is a good tank destroyer. I think this is easily the worst in the tier. But my name is Hab. If you somehow like this video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.